allowed to study abroad anywhere you like, just you have to make up the cost if it's more than NC State, which for the majority of the time, it's not going to be any more than your NC State experience. And even if you choose to do a semester, they will pay for the entire semester. A couple other things are study abroad programs attached with majors. No, there are not, but many programs will offer specific courses in a major. So if you're looking to graduate with a certain degree or a certain minor, like how I mentioned the Peru program, that one is you take Spanish classes when you're in Peru. So if you're looking to pursue a Spanish minor, that would be a very common one that you could pursue. Does NC State have German as a language? Yes, we do. Tuition. So basically, the question is, does tuition cover study abroad? Basically, how study abroad works is that if you're gonna go internationally, you're gonna pay the tuition at that institution and not your NC State tuition, unless it's an exchange program, which is a really specific category that we don't need to get into for sure. Can we study abroad as a freshman? I haven't heard any freshmen study abroad other than if you're a Spring Connect student and you're part of our Prague program. But maybe one of the admissions counselors or Gabriel, have you heard of any freshmen studying abroad?
I have not heard of any freshmen studying abroad. I've heard of freshmen, like you said, the first year inquiry program before classes start of their freshman year, and then I've heard students going like the summer after their freshman year.
Gabriel hit it spot on. So our first year students are typically not able to study abroad unless it's a freshman inquiry program or they're part of the Spring Connect program and they're doing the Prague program in the fall. Typically, most commonly, at least at NC State, students are basically able to start studying abroad starting the summer after their first year. That's how it is at NC State. It could differ at other institutions.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. And we can get into the rest of these questions kind of as we go through this presentation. And then if we don't get to them, we will answer them at the end.
Okay. All right, so moving on to co-ops, internships, and professional development here at NC State. So we do have what's called the Career Development Center and also Epac Portal. So the Career Development Center is a building and office, a resource on campus and they host university-wide and department-wide career fairs throughout the school year, both semesters. They offer resume, cover letter guidance, and mock interviews. They also offer a professional closet with clothes for people who need to get professional clothes from that closet. It's a great resource for that. And I've definitely used the Career Development Center a lot, especially as I became an upperclassman, getting my high school stuff off my resume and adding my college involvement and really just maximizing it. Because I went in thinking my resume was good and it wasn't bad, but it was just, I was able to take it to the next level with that one-on-one work in the Career Development Center. And the Epac Portal is a career service for NC State students, alum, and for employers. So it's specifically for us and employers from RTP, from downtown Raleigh, and honestly all over the world can put employment opportunities up there, internships. So it's a great opportunity for that, for you to know that there's something dedicated specifically to NC State students. And most colleges and departments have career advisors specifically allocated to you, so you don't have to work as hard to find somebody that is already there and kind of assigned to you. And again, there's high impact practices and they allow students to gain those real world experiences in their fields before actually getting to graduation. And are there any questions about this slide at all?
Nope, not that I'm seeing, Gabriel.
Okay.
Awesome. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is undergraduate research. Undergraduate research is something that some students choose to be involved with on campus, but is no means a requirement for the majority of degree programs. Basically, you can find a bunch of undergraduate research positions through our Office of Undergraduate Research or OUR, or the specific departmental websites. So if you want to intern with specifically a department, you might want to reach out to professors in that way. But as the second bullet point says, is that your research doesn't have to be relevant to your major, but research really does give you the opportunity to work with closely with faculty, and really develop those skills that one might need if they choose to pursue a career of research. You also can get paid for these. These are on-campus jobs that you can get paid for or get course credit. Like if we talked about if it's part of your major, you can definitely get course credit for the research that you do on campus. Like I said before, not requirement at all, but so many professors are open to working with undergraduate students. And I think that's something fairly unique about NC State, because you see at a lot of these larger institutions that they really want to work with their higher level students and not necessarily their undergraduates. But at NC State, I would not consider that the case. I have a couple friends that work in different labs around campus, whether it's working with mice in the veterinary clinics, or working in the Department of Construction and Civil Engineering. He does bridge testing. So there are so many opportunities that you can choose if you choose to make research a part of your undergraduate education.
And another good thing about research is that it allows you to get hands-on experience to see if you actually like something or if something is actually for you or not. That can definitely be helpful as you're pursuing your major and your future career. So we have campus community centers here, and there are they research opportunities. What is this? The research opportunities can be found. Okay, so this is the slide title got mixed up. So this is still on undergraduate research. So there are research opportunities that can be found through the Office of Undergraduate Research on the website. And so there's different departments that can be found through there. So on the Office of Undergraduate Research, so you can go through your different majors, your different colleges, and see what opportunities are there. And it also allows you to see what faculty and staff are currently working on projects. It has their contact information. You can reach out and get more information through them. So we do have campus community centers here. Those campus community centers include the Multicultural Student Affairs, the African American Cultural Center, the Women's Center, and the GLBT Center. And through these different programs, they're also called the Offices of Institutional Equity and Diversity. So basically those offices are here to represent people from underrepresented and from multicultural backgrounds to make sure they get the support they need both in and outside of the classroom here at NC State. So some really popular programming that they have through those different offices on campus includes the Symposium for Multicultural Scholars, which is a great opportunity for students of different backgrounds to move on campus a few days early, get acclimated with the resources that are on campus for them. And I personally actually attended that as an incoming student, and I was a mentor and team lead for it as well. But as an incoming student, when I attended that, that's where I met my friends who I kept throughout my 4 years here at NC State. So that was a great way to meet my network and my village and to get to know other people on campus before classes started. There is the GLBT Symposium as well, the Ebony Harlem Awards, the Women of Color Retreat. So those are just some different things on campus through those different offices. And again, like the Ebony Harlem Awards is something that celebrates Black excellence in the community when it comes to arts, academic excellence, community service. Staff and faculty are included as well, and it happens every spring. So that's something that I was a part of during my time here at NC State. And again, like I said, these spaces provide opportunities for students to meet others like them and to build community and cultural competence and just feel supported on campus.
So Gabriel, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you feel supported as a Black POC student at NC State with the clubs and organizations available?
Yes, I definitely do. So honestly, that's where I met my network and my village, and not even just with the students, but with the staff and faculty as well. Throughout those opportunities, they've shown that they are here for the students. So that's where I met the majority of my support system. So Uninhibited Praise Gospel Choir was one for me. There is the NAACP that I was a part of during my first 2 years here at NC State. We have the Black Students Board. They also do programming such as Pan-Af Week, which is a time to celebrate Blackness from the entire diaspora on campus. So those are just some Black specific experiences as well. We have things like Mi Familia here on campus as well. So there's a variety of things and there's something for everybody. So one thing that I really liked was even within those different demographics, so even within specifically to the question like the Black demographic, or even within the Latinx environment, or even within the Native American environment, like there's something for everybody, even within those different spaces. So that's something that I found and seen on campus.
Awesome. Thanks, Gabriel.
All right, so moving on, or?
Yeah, that's great.
All right, cool.
So next, we're going to take a second to talk about fraternity and sorority life. Fraternity and sorority life takes up about 11% of NC State undergraduate students. So it's not a super large number, but it is large enough that if you want to get involved, you absolutely can. We have three types of fraternity and sorority lives here on NC State. We have our Multicultural Greek Council, our National Panhellenic Council, and the Panhellenic Association. These places provide community for those that want to be involved with Greek life. And like I said, you don't have to be, but they serve a wide variety of purposes. There are social and service fraternities and sororities. There are cultural ones. I know that Jordan asked in the Q&A, are there fraternities and sororities like the Divine Nine? Yes, there are. We do have many multicultural fraternities and sororities like that. In addition, there are honors and scholars fraternities and sororities. So it's not necessarily the only Greek life you think of when you think of how the media portrays Greek life. But there is that option if you choose to take it. We do encourage all students to really get involved in any way they see possible. Like Gabriel talked about our over 700 student orgs, but this is definitely another thing that you can add to your college experience if you choose to. I'm also going to talk about the university housing. So first off, we do have a first year live on requirement. That means that all students, all first year students are going to be required to live on campus. And in addition to that, we have learning and living villages. And I know that Kwame asked about that in the Q&A. They are not the same as our campus community centers that Gabriel talked about, but they do fulfill a similar role on campus. This allows students to find their community with other like-minded students. So if you choose to live in our Honors and Scholars Village, where I personally lived my first year with students in our Honors and Scholars program, you can choose to live in the Eco Village, where they're very environmentally conscious, or our Arts Village. There are so many opportunities for you, both academic and more co-curricular, that you can choose to engage in these villages as much as you want. We're also going to quickly talk about the types of housing you can get at NC State. So the first is a traditional hall style. That's what you're going to see kind of in media and more common around university campuses around the nation, where it's you and your roommate in a room and the bathroom is down the hall and your hall shares that bathroom together. We flip to the next one, Gabriel.
Yes.
The other option is suite style, where it's 2 people per room and you share a common bathroom area only with your suite mates. So generally you'll have 6 other suite mates in addition to you and your roommate, and you guys all will share one bathroom together. The perks of living in this hall style or this suite style is that you don't have to clean your bathrooms, and that university housing, our amazing maintenance team, will clean those for you. The other options are hotel style, where 2 students share a room and they only have a common bathroom for the 2 of them. What that would look like is kind of like what you would picture a hotel room as, except you are responsible for cleaning your own bathroom in that style of housing. In addition, we have Wolf Village and Wolf Ridge apartments. Those are 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. You get your own room in these apartments. They aren't super common for first-year students, but you do have a kitchen in that living area. It's not as close to campus, so some students like to move into these apartment styles their second year. And that way they can kind of cook for themselves and not necessarily need to be on a meal plan. Ryan asked, how is suite style and hotel style different? Hotel style, you and your roommate will be sharing a bathroom with 6-ish other people, because there will be like 4 rooms to 1 bathroom. With hotel style, it's gonna be you and your roommate in a bathroom. So you'll only be sharing with 1 other person. I hope that cleared that up, and if not, just let me know. The different housings have different costs, Jasmine asks. For our on-campus, just first year traditional one, not really. For your apartments, when you move, farther away from that center of campus, you're going to see a higher cost. Also, if you're staying in a single bedroom, you're going to see a higher cost instead of that double like most are on campus, because those are double occupancy. But it doesn't necessarily mean that your cost is going to go up on campus. Also, some of our villages will have like an enrichment cost to sponsor programming for them. So that's definitely something you could look into as well. But honestly, I know my enrichment cost when I lived in the Honor Scholars Village, I believe was $100. So, and they're all right around there for a lot of those enrichment costs. Someone asked, is there any info about gender inclusive bathrooms? Yes. So all dorms will have a gender inclusive bathroom in them, so that all students have a place that they feel like they can go. Already answered that one. Let's see. I'll ask some to Gabriel. Gabriel, are you allowed to have cars your freshman year?
Yes, so you are allowed to have a car your freshman year. I brought mine my freshman year. However, you can buy a parking space based on the amount of credits you have coming in. So typically first year students are not allowed to park on campus, or at least close to their residence halls. They can typically park on Centennial campus, or even sometimes nearby apartment complexes rent out their parking spaces, which is what I did. But I will say, if you don't, or if you are unable to bring your car, you won't worry. Because honestly, even though I had my car, I was only able to park it on campus at my dorm during the weekend. So throughout the week, I walk or I use NC State transportation. So
awesome. And let's see, are you allowed to choose where you want to live?
So I don't believe you are anymore. So I believe you're allowed to choose like 2 to 3 different residence halls, and then you're assigned to one of those that you choose. So you won't get to choose like the exact one that you're in, but I think you do get to at least narrow it down to a certain amount. And you also, there are resources to choosing a roommate. When I came in, I roomed with one of my friends from high school. So we just mutually selected each other on the housing application. But for those of you who are going to be living with a random roommate, there's plenty of resources to help that process be more smooth. On the housing application, you can fill out your different preferences as far as when you like to go to bed, when you like to get up, how neat and how loud you like the room, those types of things. And from there, the staff in housing will do a pretty good job of pairing you with somebody who is like-minded. And there's also ways to use social media, of course, for finding a roommate through different hashtags, class of, like whatever you all's class will be. So there's different ways to connect with people to find roommates as well.
Awesome. And would all of those styles of living have kitchens?
So in the traditional and suite style and hotel style, there are community kitchens. So typically one on each floor, with a shared like refrigerator and cabinets and things like that. And that's also maintained by the maintenance team. However, in the apartment styles, there's a kitchen in there shared by those roommates. And so everything in there is maintained by the roommates.
Cool. And what do you remember what was included in your kitchen, Gabriel? Was there anything that you wish you would have had?
Yes, on the kitchen, and this is for all of the kitchens. So whether they were cleaned by you or the hall style, the kitchens included a full refrigerator, a full stove, and a regular microwave. So anything like toaster, appliance like toaster, blender, spatulas, like things to cook with, pots, pans, you should bring those yourself. I believe there might be some of those shared pots and pans and things in certain residence halls, but I just preferred to bring my own.
Awesome. And we have 2 more. In terms of living, can you live in one of those sorority or fraternity houses?
Yes, so you are allowed to, if you are part of that organization, and that will be a separate housing application through that, but you are allowed to live in those options if you're part of those orgs.
Awesome. And then, wow, we're getting lots more questions coming in. I'll just fly through these super fast. Are you allowed to bring your family for a visit overnight in the dorm? Generally, you're allowed to have 1 guest for a maximum of 3 nights at a time, but you wouldn't, like the dorms honestly aren't super big that you wouldn't be able to fit like your whole family in a dorm. Are you guys in university housing right now? If so, what type? I am not currently in university housing. I live off campus, but last year I did live in university housing, and I lived in a hall style dorm. And Gabriel, you can answer that one as well.
Yeah, I've been in off-campus housing for my last 2 years at State, but I stayed in a hotel style my first year at NC State, and I stayed in Wolf Village my second year. I had great experiences in both of those. And I did stay in some hall style at different summer opportunities, such as being in Summer Start and stuff like that. So I did have those experiences. And although I do prefer the hotel and the apartment just for more privacy and more space and things like that, I did not have negative experiences in the suite and traditional. So I just want to encourage everybody that those are still like good options. They're clean and maintained as well. So don't feel bad if you can't get into a hotel or a apartment, because those are typically for upperclassmen most of the time.
Awesome. And then Gabriel, did you find that you had enough space to store your stuff?
Yeah, so just kitchen stuff or stuff in general, I'll answer for both. So I guess in all of those spaces that I lived in, I did have enough space to store my stuff. I did have to get a little bit creative as far as what types of containers, depending on, if my bed was lofted or not lofted, or if I was sharing with a roommate or not. But overall, I did have enough space to store all my things. And it kind of teaches you to, in a way, only bring what you need. Like I didn't have a lot of extra stuff. So that is a part of college in a way, just bringing only what you need in certain spaces.
Awesome. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Gabriel, to do the next couple slides.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we're going to move on to Arts NC State. So we do have Price Music Center, which is the home of the music department at NC State. We do have music minors at NC State, and performing arts majors and things like that as well. We do have, so in Price Music Center, the people or the organizations that practice there include the different choral ensembles. So we have men and women's and combined choral ensembles here at NC State, as well as instrumental ensembles. And then we also have music organizations such as Uninhibited Praise Gospel Choir, which I was the director of, and I'll just tell you a little bit about that. So we are not limited to only Black students, and we're not limited to only people from the Christian religion. We're open to everybody of all identities. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. But that's been a great experience for me at NC State. Some cool opportunities that we did have. We've got to perform at events like Back to School Jam, which is an event basically like a cookout on the first day of school, outside organizations, free food, free giveaways, a lot of times socialize, take pictures, and meet the different organizations and people. So we performed there. We performed at different churches in the area. We have a spring and fall concert typically every year. And last year we actually got to sing the national anthem at a NC State men's basketball game versus Florida State. So that was a cool opportunity. So we also have a variety of like a cappella groups, men, women combined, all gender identities, specifically in those different groups. We have university theater, so they do a variety of productions throughout the year, and you don't have to be formally involved in the music department or in the arts department as a major or a minor in order to be a part of those productions. So typically auditions are open to the whole university. So that's something that you can do, like if you are passionate about performing arts but don't necessarily have time to pursue it as a major or a minor, the organizations and the productions are a great way to still become involved with that. We also have dance programs in all genres. So sometimes we even collaborate. So for example, last year, the gospel choir and Dance Visions were actually working on a collaboration. We didn't get to do it because of the pandemic, but typically those different organizations support each other and network and allow each other to perform and to be present at each other's events and stuff like that. So there's a lot of support throughout those events. We also have things, of course, like color guard included in the band, and all of those all that audition information is on the NC State Music website. And a lot of the times, those auditions will take place for the bands at orientation or around the summer beforehand. But again, there's something here for all experience levels, all backgrounds, all identities. And going back to the whole clubs and organizations thing, if there's something here that you see that is not here, you can start that even when it comes to music and things like that. Are there any questions?
Yes. Do you have to have any previous experience to get involved with Arts NC State or no?
No, so there's something here for everybody. And even there's like piano classes, beginning piano classes, intermediate piano classes, and even with other instruments and all organizations, basically there's something here for somebody from every experience level.
Awesome. And do you have to take a class to be in like marching band or in a choir or something like that?
Yeah, so it depends. So I believe for the choral ensembles that are through NC State, like the NC State Men's Chorale or NC State Women's Chorale, things like that, those are actually classes. Those are typically conducted for like 2 hours once a week. And the same thing for the marching band and the different official instrumental ensembles, such as jazz and all those types of things that are through the university, like that. But Uninhibited Praise Gospel Choir, the a cappella groups, and most of the other student-run organizations, those are not actually classes. For those, we'll typically meet outside of class in the evenings at some time, which varies depending on the organization.
Awesome. That's all the questions we had for this slide.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So campus highlights. So we are in a great location here at NC State. We're close to downtown Raleigh. We're close to Cary, as well as RTP, which is the Research Triangle Park. So there's a lot of employment opportunities, internships, in STEM, non-STEM, but it's just a great way. So a lot of times these companies make themselves known at our career fairs. And a lot of times your different department faculty and staff will send out regular employment opportunities from these different companies that are surrounding NC State because of the close proximity. So that's been an amazing opportunity that I've noticed by being a student here. And also when it comes to employment, there is student employment here on campus, and that's what I was a part of during my time at NC State. I feel like it was most convenient for me, and a lot of times as student employees on campus, supervisors are pretty understanding that you're a student first. So that's something that I did enjoy as well. But again, there's nightlife because of the convenient location to downtown, concerts. We do have Pnc Arena, which is part of NC State's campus. It's where the NC State men's basketball team plays. So a lot of times, when artists comes to North Carolina, Pnc Arena is one of the places where they typically perform. We have a lot of different restaurants around from different cultures, even just on Hillsborough Street, which is on NC State campus, and Western Boulevard, which is also on another side of NC State campus. On those streets alone, a lot of food options from, like, Zach, I know you mentioned like Gustaco, which is one of the restaurants for Venezuelan food, I believe it is. I go there pretty much like once a week. We have Chipotle, Mediterranean restaurants, pizza, Italian. So there's something for everybody with the convenient location of being on campus. There's museums downtown, there's parks, Pullen Park, a lot of Lake Boone, we have Lake Raleigh. There's a Target walking distance from campus. So going back to, if you don't have your car, it's fine. It's a Target that's right on Hillsborough Street. And I remember freshman year, I had the flu and I had to get my prescription filled at Target. And thankfully it was walking distance to campus, so I didn't have to worry about getting my car and stuff like that. And we also have the Bell Tower, which was dedicated to World War II veterans who were from NC State. And it was actually just redone and rededicated as Henry Square. It's a great place to take photos and as part of the NC State Traditions app as well. And we have Witherspoon Student Cinema, which is in Witherspoon Student Center. So Witherspoon Student Center is named after Augustus Witherspoon, which is the first NC State professor. So in there, again, we have Witherspoon Student Cinema, which is where a lot of free movies are played for students. That's something that you can do that's on campus, free popcorn, pretty much every week. There's different movies playing throughout the week. And sometimes there's been movies even played before they were released in the theater. So that's something that's really cool and you don't have to pay for. So definitely take advantage of that if you do choose to come to NC State. And also in there is the African American Cultural Center and Library, which is just a place where we celebrate and basically just celebrate and respect and learn about the African American diaspora on campus and beyond. And if there's anything you wanted to add, Zach, feel free.
No, that sounds great. There's a couple of questions. Going back to the music, can students join band without any experience?
Yeah, so the specifics on that vary. So I believe there are intermediate and PEP level bands. So I believe that you are allowed to join without any experience, like any formal experience in an organization. And that would specifically vary again based on that organization. But I will say typically most students do come in with some type of experience. You don't have to be an expert. But again, I would definitely reach out to the music department and we will get that website to you so you can reach out and ask about those specifics as well.
Sure. And you've talked a lot about different spaces around campus. How do you consider NC State to be a safe campus, or like, are you good walking around campus? And what has your experience been with that?
Yeah, so I feel very safe walking on campus. And we do have what is called the Wolf Alert System. So that is where NC State provides live updates through texts and emails about anything that goes on, crime or anything to be worried about on campus or around campus. And I will say the updates are regular, but like the things that happen, or I don't feel unsafe at all. So basically, they tell you a lot of things, like even if they're not dangerous. So it is a lot of updates like, hey, this water line is down, or hey, this construction is going on this road, so it's closed. So it's a little bit of everything. But because of that, I feel like I'm always aware of what's going on campus and what's going on around campus. And speaking of safety, we do have a blue light system, which is stations throughout campus. There's typically one almost everywhere that you are on campus. If you look around, you can pretty much see one and point to one and get to it. So you can press that and someone from the NC State Safety Department will be there or respond at very quickly to whatever is going on with you. And we also do have an escort service. So they will walk with you or drive you somewhere at night, or even if you just have a disability and need to get somewhere, you are allowed to use those services to feel safer and to get where you need to go quicker as well. And I did use those at night. So like I mentioned, my freshman year, I had to park off campus. So I would park off campus and then walk to campus and then get the escort to drive me to my residence hall. So it came in handy for me. It comes in handy for a lot of students as well.
Awesome. We can move on to the next slide then.
All right.
So a couple of green spaces we talked about. We talked about how NC State is super close to Raleigh, and it is very close to the city, but there is so much green space and open space that if you like to spend time outdoors, not just like around a ton of buildings all the time, NC State has that option for you. We have the Court of North Carolina, which is a massive field. It's actually the one in the picture on the left side of the screen on our North Campus, which is our academic side of campus. But you can find students out there studying, eating, playing capture the flag. If it snows, there's snowball fights happening in Court of North Carolina and snowmen being built all the time. So that is something you can definitely look forward to. In addition, we have Stafford Commons, which is right outside of our Tally Student Union. That's where so many events are held. I know personally there, I've gone and seen an outdoor theatrical performance by the theater at NC State. I've also seen movies. They do movies on the green sometimes on really nice nights, and especially during Wolfpack Welcome Week, I watched How to Train Your Dragon 2 on this massive screen they set up in Stafford Commons. It was also where our and like LDOC, which is last day of class celebration, was this year, where they set up just tons of cornhole boards, and you could paint a mural, and they had free food trucks and a bunch of things just to celebrate the end of the semester. Those all happened near Stafford Commons. In addition, we have Harris Field, which is right outside Witherspoon Student Cinema that Gabriel was talking about. There right now, it's called the Den at Harris Field. It's all filled with sand, and there's cornhole and different yard games, and you can check out board games. And the best part is right now they have fire pits there, and you can purchase like s'mores stuff if you'd like, and you can roast marshmallows, and it's just a great place to hang out with your friends. If that doesn't stick around, it will go back to being a place where you'll find students playing spike ball all the time. That is a very common spike ball location on campus, or throwing around a frisbee or kicking around a soccer ball, different things like that. There's always stuff going on. Also, our campus radio station will sometimes have live DJs, and that happens right on Harris Field. I kind of talked about some of these popular student events. Convocation occurs on that Stafford Commons. Back to School Jam, I believe, happens behind Carmichael, right?
It happens in Harrisfield as
Okay.
well. But sometimes, like for the spring semester, it happened inside because it was a little bit cold outside. But that's what I mentioned earlier to everyone. That was about a kind of like a cookout where you meet a lot of people, a lot of the Black organizations, and there's a step show, music. And it's on the first day of classes. So, everybody has on their outfits, trying to take pictures. And it's just really fun, a great way to socialize and bring in the semester.
For sure. And then someone asked, can we talk a little bit about the things we took advantage of on campus, like going to the movies or museums? For me personally, I definitely have seen a lot of movies. in that Witherspoon student cinema, which was awesome because I love the free popcorn. I'm kind of a popcorn addict, if I'm being completely honest. But museums around campus, we have our Natural History Museum and American History Museum in downtown Raleigh, just a quick short bus ride away, and we'll talk about transportation in a second, but super close to campus and free for students. In addition, a couple of, oh, sorry, go ahead, Gabriel.
I was going to say we also have the art museum that is really close to campus, and I've gone there a few times, taking some nice pictures and seeing some of the seasonal exhibits that they have out there. So that's something I've taken advantage of as well.
For sure. And the only other one I was going to mention was First Friday, and that in the early fall and later spring, Raleigh downtown has First Friday, where a bunch of local vendors and artists set up shop in the streets of Raleigh, and you can just walk around and see all this stuff that these artists are creating. There's definitely food deals and things like that are happening. It's really just an incredible atmosphere. I'm really excited to getting back to those in the fall. Mm-hmm. Gabriel, is there anything that you took advantage of that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I will say food. So a lot of campus events have free food from places like Insomnia Cookies, Chipotle, different pizza places. So a lot of times if you're out on campus and there's like a table set up, sometimes all you have to do is show up or just swipe your student ID and you get free food. So I did take advantage of that during my time here at NC State. Also free shirts. I got a lot of free t-shirts. I probably have as many free t-shirts from going to NC State as I do from shirts that I bought myself. So taking advantage of that as well, going at different events and things like that. And also these events, I will say I took advantage of the networking opportunities. So just getting connected with people, shooting my shot professionally with people, different companies, different work opportunities on campus. It was a great way. And not even if you just wanted to get a job or get an opportunity, but just to learn about somebody from a different space or from a different background, and to just know like, wow, we have a genuine bond just from going to this event and saying hi. So that's something that I took advantage of as well throughout these different events and opportunities on campus. And one that I wanted to point out that I don't think we talked about is Pachypalooza. I don't know, did we mention that? So that happens typically every fall at the beginning of every fall semester before the first day of classes on Hillsborough Street. And it's typically basically like an NC State fair, but on Hillsborough Street. So there's different campus organizations with representatives presenting their org and trying to get new members. There's also people from different sports teams signing autographs. There's typically a concert. So it's kind of like a little music festival. You'll have some NC State artists, some local artists performing. And there's different food vendors and different coupons. So it's just kind of like a welcome to Raleigh, welcome to NC State event. And it's not just limited to the NC State community. There's people from outside the NC State community, from the general public who are just out there, but everybody is typically really friendly. And it's always a great time.
Awesome. That was great. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so going back to transportation. So like we mentioned earlier, first year students are allowed to bring your car, but parking spaces vary depending on the credit hours. So typically the more credit hours you have, the earlier you can buy a parking pass. And again, if you cannot bring your vehicle, I would not worry about it, because even though I had mine, I only used it on the weekends if I was going off campus. So we do have a Wolfline bus system, which is free to all students. So it covers main campus and Centennial campus. You don't, like I said, you don't need your student ID. And also though, it is open to the public, which is not a negative thing. I've never had any scary or unpleasant experiences on the Wolfline with anybody from NC State or from the public, but that is just something I want to let you all know. It is public transportation as well. And then the Red Terra Wolfline, which is one of the routes, it takes students to NC State sporting events. So that's something that I definitely took advantage of, because parking at sporting events can be kind of tricky and overwhelming sometimes. So taking the Wolfline just was all around more fun, and it was a great way to socialize and to get into the NC State spirit and atmosphere before even getting to the events. We do have the, I think I accidentally switched the screen, I'm sorry. So we do have the Translock Writer app, which is also created by an NC State student. And that is a way to see all of the NC State bus routes, see them live in motion, to see where all the stops are, and they're color coded. So that was a great way for me to kind of get accustomed to learning what routes I actually needed, because it can be overwhelming thinking about learning the whole bus system and bus route. But again, getting that app made it so much more manageable. I was able to see, hey, this bus is coming here in 10 minutes. I still have time to go get some food really quick. It just made everything a lot easier to see and to visualize for me. So don't feel overwhelmed or don't feel too scared about learning the buses. The Translot Rider app is pretty convenient. And I will say even the people on campus were friendly as far as asking, like if you wanted to ask somebody, hey, do you know anything about this route or do you know what stop this is? People are friendly. And the bus stops do have signs, physical signs there at each stop as well.
Awesome.
Right.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead,
Okay.
Gabriel.
You got it.
I was just gonna say, so with transportation, if you want to get around campus, campus is definitely walkable. So the thing I was just gonna add before Gabriel starts this slide is just don't feel like you're always gonna have to take the bus, because for me, I had a class last 2 semesters ago where I was on one end of the campus and I had to get to the opposite end. It's a 15-minute walk all the way across campus. So it's definitely more than manageable to do that.
And in addition to that, we do have line bikes and scooters. Students can download the app, scan the barcode, and pay a small fee. Those are typically found all around campus and downtown Raleigh. So almost every time I step outside, no matter what season, no matter what day, I do see students taking advantage of those. Just be careful because we do have a lot of bricks on campus. You're going to see bricks everywhere, so just be careful with riding the bikes and riding the scooters around campus. But also, even because downtown is close by, students even take or use line bikes and scooters to get to downtown. So very useful. We do also have the Go Raleigh Bus System, which provides transportation for students and their off-campus needs. You can also buy those bus passes through the NC State Transportation Office. And I believe it's $5 for like the semester, or I think for the semester, not for the year. But those are definitely a good option if you need that. Then also going outside of that, we have airports and train stations near campus as well. So there's an Amtrak train station a few miles from campus, and then Raleigh-Durham Airport RDU is about 20 minutes from campus. So if you like to travel, or if you're from off campus, or if you're from out of state or from a different city, there's a lot of different transportation options for you and for your family as well.
Awesome. So as we start wrapping up, these are all the ways that you can connect with the admissions office. So definitely check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and our website and virtual tour. The great part about following these social media accounts is they're run by students like Gabriel and I, the interns in the office, that we take time running these platforms. So you really get to see what the student experience is like when you follow these. I guess we have a couple more minutes and we're going to try and fire through some questions. And if you have any more, I guess you can drop them and we'll try and get to them. But Gabriel, were you fluent in Spanish before you started your Spanish minor? And if you're not, can you still do it?
Yeah, so I wasn't quite fluent, but I was nearly fluent when I started. So I started Spanish in 7th grade and took it throughout 12th grade. So I was pretty familiar with everything and started off in like a 200 or 300 level. So, but I will say you don't have to be fluent or have any experience to pursue a Spanish minor. So you can have 0 experience, haven't spoken 1 word of Spanish, and you can still complete that Spanish minor within the 4 years or within your time at NC State. So you can be any experience level, and that goes for any language as well.
For sure. I also came in semi-fluent. I went to a K-12 Spanish immersion school, but you take in a test when you get to NC State that will place you in what level Spanish class. So it's not like you're going to be jumping into too hard of a level of Spanish when you get here if you choose to do that. Someone asked, are we open to sharing our stats that got you into NCSU? For that, we would direct you to our middle 50 and our first year form. That way you can check out those, because the platform changes year to year on depending what our applicant pool looks like. So I'd have you look at that. Are in-person tours available? Right now they are available for admitted students and prospective students. So you can look on our website and sign up for those there. Gabriel, how many libraries are on campus?
So we have 2 libraries, one on the main campus, DHL library. It's older, but it was also just renovated. It's beautiful. And then we have James B. Hunt Library on Centennial campus. It's more high tech. It does have books, but it also has a lot more modern study spaces. And a lot of the engineers and computer science majors and textile majors use it more because they're over there on that side of campus.
Awesome. And Gabriel, you did a major and a minor. Would you recommend that?
I would. It's a great way to get some experience out of what you're kind of locked into. So, for example, I was a STEM major, but both of my minors were in humanities and social science. So it was a great way for me to get balance and to dabble into something that into things that I'm still passionate about, but didn't necessarily pursue as a major.
Awesome. Have you used the gym? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I did not use the gym enough, actually. So it's something that I wish I would have done more. There's something there for everybody. So it's not just the traditional treadmills and weightlifting. There is, like Zach mentioned, all the different resources, all the basketball courts, all the dance classes, there's yoga classes, there's fitness training that you can sign up for, boxing, all of that. So I wish I would have taken advantage of all of that, but I did use it a little bit.
Awesome. And last question we had was, does the Park Scholarships cover housing, and what are some of the best benefits I've had? The Park Scholarship is a very competitive program, but it does cover everything that you choose to be involved with on campus. So for me, it covered housing, it covered transportation costs, covered my tuition and fees and all that. But definitely the best part about being a Park Scholar has been the community. So I would definitely consider reaching out to the Park Scholarship if that's something you're interested in, as they'll have tons and tons of info that they would be happy to share with you. And Zariah just asked, Gabriel, you can speak to this. Is there a music club?
Yeah, so we do have an overall NC State music club, like an organization. So it's kind of like the umbrella. It's student run, and there's like a benefit concert that happens every year. There's also a specific like performers club that was actually just created this past year. But yeah, there is a music club that's on the NC State website.
Perfect. And then I'm going to get in just because we've hit 3:15, you all. Big shout out to y'all handling all the questions and presenting and while being students. So big congrats. So Bianca has already started, but if you can, my students, please give them a big thank you in the chat box before they're able to exit out. We really do appreciate everything you all have done. Students, just to give y'all a head up, Zach started with our office this past year. He's continued working with us. He's phenomenal. And Mr. Gabriel worked for us for about 2 to 3 years. And he's actually about to transition this summer and go toward grad school at Harvard. So Mr. Gabriel is actually transitioning from our office. And this is kind of his last big hoorah for us and working with us. So if you can, again, please give him a big thank you and big congrats to Gabriel. Gabriel, we appreciate everything you've done for us. And Mr. Zach, of course, I see you all the time. We're looking forward to you continue working with us in the office and sharing all the great things you have done as well.